every so like all some of the other node belongs to some project, some are for the organization purpose, right? Let's take example of a project where you have like multiple nodes. Let's say you have almost 15 to 20 nodes over there, and every node is going to play some role. Right? One server could be playing web server's role, other could be playing a monitoring role, one could be playing a database role, one could be playing a load balancer role. Okay, one or many, I mean to say. So every node plays one or the other role in your infrastructure. And when we start coding for that, we try to put everything in one playbook. Okay, and that becomes the problem. So as your infrastructure grows, right, the requirement grows. The developers or the testers may have new requirements, and you may need to add some more package. You need to change some more configuration files, right? You need to add more variables. You need to create more handlers, right? And all you try to fudge it into one playbook, right? And that playbook grows and grows, and it becomes really difficult after some point to manage it. Remember, the major purpose that we're choosing mostly we choose Ansible on other configuration management tool is because of its simplicity. It's very simple and human readable, right? Easily writable. So that is the major reason why people want to use Ansible, right? So let me show this to you. So you could be having a playbook which grows. So we have a playbook which has like 6 to 7 tasks, 1 handlers, 6 to 7 variables, right? That is the current status, but that is just the beginning. It will grow, right? So and you may have code for web server, DB server. So you need to identify which server plays what role, and we can segregate these roles. Then we can disperse them into different directory structures, so it becomes easy to manage, right? Easy to read, easy to write, and most importantly, it becomes shareable. See, in DevOps, you need to share your code with your DevOps fellow colleagues or developers or testers, so many different people. So it should be easily shareable. It should have a modular structure, so anyone can open that and edit whatever they want. Right, so first thing is that you need to identify the role. Okay, let's say you identified from your current playbook that one server plays a builder role, build and release role. One server plays server common role. These are some just the name. Okay, so server common is like whenever you add any node into your infrastructure, you do some post installation steps like creating some files, directory structure, and setting up monitoring agents. It's something that you commonly do across all the nodes in your infrastructure. So that kind of role becomes like a server common role. Anytime any new instance comes in, you can execute that role on that instance, right? Or you can by default put an automation script. As soon as in node gets added, run this role, so this server will be ready for your organization, right? Such kind of roles. Once you identify, then you can start creating roles in Ansible. Okay. Now, as we write a playbook. To do some automation, here we are going to create a directory structure. Okay, let's talk about a role which is server common. Okay, where we need to install monitoring agent, we need to start its service, we need to restart few services like handlers, we need to push some configuration file, right? So you can write everything in one playbook, and you can copy paste that information in other playbooks. Instead of that, you can create a roles for Ansible. It has a specific directory structure. So at the top level, you're going to create a directory called roles, like the same place where you have your playbook. Inside that, you'll have the directory which has the name of the role. Okay, and inside that directory, you'll have multiple directories that will be used for one or the other purpose. Okay, so you have defaults, files, handlers, meta, task, templates, and vars. Now, some of them would be already, you must be aware of all these words like templates. So you have templates, you put into templates directly. You have variables that we have used in our playbook, like HTTP port, max client, right? We take input from the user. So all these variable goes into the vars directory. You have list of tasks to install packages, to start services, to push templates, right? So all this list of tasks goes into task directories, right? we have just used one handler, to restart Apache whenever a configuration file change happens. So that handler goes into handlers directory, and likewise files, a static file you want to push, that goes into files directory. So everything will be distributed, and if let's say suppose I want to change some configuration, I want to, let's say, change variable. So quickly you can go to the variable, change the variable. You don't need to go through the entire playbook, find out where it is used, what template it is used. Okay, so it becomes very easy to manage. Okay, so manageability increases, and every file, no, sorry, not every, in every directory almost, like, except templates and file, other directories will have a file called main.yml. Okay, so let's say you want to put the task, you have list of tasks, you go into task directory, in main.yml file you put all the tasks like you put in your playbook. Okay, whereas also you'll have main.yml file, so you go in that file, you put all your variables. Okay, now this, once you create the role structure, now your playbook, you gonna move everything from your playbook to your role, different directory structure. Now in your playbook, you'll simply say, you'll not have the list of tasks and variables and handlers, that's been already pushed into the roles directory. Now in your playbook, you'll only have name of the server, right? The global play declaration you'll have, and you'll simply say role, execute this role. Let's say web server role. Okay, so in this today's exercise, we are going to create a web server's role. Okay, so we'll take our existing example. So let me. Okay, I'll share my entire screen. Okay, so let me open the terminal. So this is the playbook that we have created in last session, right? So we have variables, we have apps prompt, we have a list of tasks, templates, handlers. Now, see, the easiest way to create a role, which I suggest to everyone, is that first write a playbook. Okay, once you try to begin with roles, don't directly jump on creating roles. First write a playbook. Okay, that's the easiest way actually. You put everything, whatever you know or whatever you want to do in the playbook. Okay, make it little messy, however you want to do it. Right? So let's say this is our playbook, we have everything added into it, but we wanted to create a role actually. Alright, but before that we created a playbook. Now, the simple way is, create a roles directory structure and start doing simply copy paste. You copy your task, cut paste, not copy paste. So you remove all your tasks, you put into the task directory. You take all your vars from this playbook, you put into vars directory. Okay, and the easiest way to do is, so you'll feel how to do it with VI editor and all those things. It becomes complicated. So you can use IDEs, okay, other editors. One of the editor that reads the YAML file is Komodo Edit. And Ubuntu, in Windows you can simply use Notepad++. Notepad++ reads the YAML file structure. Okay, so I'll open an editor. It's Komodo Edit. Okay, this editor is not mandatory. You can use any other editor. If you don't want to use editor, you can simply do copy paste. What I want to show you is how you're gonna. So with editor you can see it very nicely. Okay, so let me go back to my terminal first of all. So present working directory is /temp/exercise3. So in temp directory I have copied my exercise3 directory. Okay. So in this we have a playbook that we have written, our Ansible configuration file and inventory. So let's edit the inventory first of all. So I'm gonna just use web instance. Today I booted into my Ubuntu machine because my Windows machine is doing some update, so it was not starting. It took a long time. Okay, so we're going to use this IP address. The web instance. So the inventory name is inventory_prod. Okay, so let me treat this as my web1, and I don't want the V now anymore, not required. So simply comment it. Okay, so inventory file is ready there. Let's test it. So my host machine, my Ubuntu machine is my Ansible server now. Okay, the machine which I'm booted on, I'm booted into Ubuntu operating system, and that's my Ansible server. So Windows user, again, you to create your Ansible server, right? With Vagrant or manually, however you want to, right? Set it up, and then you can start using that instance. It's accessible. Okay. Now, this is my directory /temp/exercise3. I have everything over here. Now, in this Komodo editor, what I have to do is actually I have to create a project in what do you say? Notepad++. You don't need to do all those things. Okay.
What is this one, Imran? What is this editor? Is it a different tool or something?
Yeah, it's an editor IDE. So it's I'll show you its benefit actually. So you first kind of create the project in whatever directory you want. So project is like selecting that particular directory, so it reads all the file in that directory. Okay. So now here you see all the files from our exercise3 directory. Like in this terminal, I have all these files, right? So here you see all those files. My templates directory, Ansible configuration. I can open it.
How did you open it? Where did you open this editor?
So I installed it, Komodo Edit. The name of the software is Komodo Edit.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm going to send you the link if you want to download it and install it on Ubuntu. For Windows, you can simply use Notepad++.
Okay. So this is just like a V editor, or
like what?
just like a VI editor, or this is
No,
different?
it's better than that. It's like it's generally these IDs are used for programming, for coding, which reads Python code, Java code, Ruby code, right? So it gives you suggestion and colors, and like, it's kind of glossy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you can use the directory structure also, right, from here? Right?
Sorry.
You can even see the directory structure also from here.
Yes, directory structure also, and that is the reason actually I use this, because it is simpler for me to show you how to do copy paste from playbook to roles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please send the link, Imran. We will also just.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Right. So this is our playbook. Okay. So I've simply opened this playbook into this editor. Okay. So let's edit few things like. It should be become, to save, and it should be also become, and I'm simply doing Control S, okay, to save it. Good. Alright, so I can see my inventory file, I can see my Ansible configuration file, right? So the roles directory structure, either you can create manually, right? So first let me go back to terminal. Okay. Now you can create the roles directory structure manually, but before that you have to create a directory called roles, mkdir roles. Okay. You ask me where can I create roles directory? You create the roles directory the same place where you have your playbook. This is my playbook. I created roles directory here. Okay. Go into roles directory. Now Ansible gives us a nice command to create the directory structure. So instead of you create all the directories manually, like you create templates directory, files directory, it can simply create the entire directory structure for us. Okay. So Ansible -galaxy in it, and I give the name of the role. So whatever role, like let's say I want to give name as web servers. Okay, or why not my web servers. Right. Hit enter. Okay. So a directory got created. You can use a command called tree. Okay, this will not be by default installed. You have to install this. Excuse me. Once you hit tree, it shows you all the directory structure into a tree format. Okay, like my web server contains all the directory structure that we talked about, right? Defaults, files, handlers, tasks, templates, VARs. So for this exercise, we are going to use handlers, we're going to use tasks, we're going to use templates, and we are going to use VARs. All the directories are not mandatory if you are not using those directories, like if you are not using files. So you can simply remove files, or you don't even need to create files directory. Okay, it's just a directory structure. Because we're not using files, we can remove if you want, but let's keep it. Okay, now vars I already told you. Excuse me. Just a moment. So vars I told you we keep all our variables. Okay, now there's one more directory in roles where we can keep variables, that's defaults. Okay, in this file we can keep variables. So what's the difference? The difference is this vars directory is going to have higher precedence over defaults directory. So let's say you have a variable called port. Okay, we have created one variable, right? Port. So let's say you define this stdp port variable into vars directory. Its port number is 80, right? And in defaults directory also you have defined the same variable, but port number is something else. Let's say 8080 or 8090, whatever. So first, when you try to use that variable, it's going to go and look in vars directory. If it finds that particular variable, it's not going to go and look for anywhere else. Okay, if it doesn't find in vars directory, it will go and check in defaults directory, right? So default, as the name suggests, you can keep the default variables which you think, if nobody specify or mentions those variables, take it from the defaults directory. So defaults directory is going to have the least precedence. Okay, now so we created the directory structure. Let's come to our IDE. Okay, if you see here, there is a directory called roles that got created. You open this, my web servers directory, right? I see everything over here. Okay, now as I told you, the easiest job to create a role is first create a playbook and simply start doing cut paste job. Okay, now we have in our playbook variables. I'm selecting those all the variables, Control X. Okay, and I go to vars directory. I go to main.yml in vars. Simply go here and paste it. Okay, I do not have to specify vars like this. Remove all these white spaces. And Control S, save. Okay, let's go to our playbook. Now we have vars prompt also. Now you cannot keep vars prompt into roles directory. If you want, you can keep it in the playbook itself. Okay, you cannot put it into roles. So I'm going to remove this, because then what we'll do is we'll use this, create another variable and put it into vars directory instead of taking user input. Okay, so I'm deleting vars prompt from the playbook. And let's, this variable is unnecessary. Let me remove this. So username colon DevOps. Okay, this variable we use in index.html file, remember, which we take from the user, right? But this time we are going to define it into the vars directory. Okay, variables gone. Now you have tasks. Okay, so let's select all the tasks. Control X. Go to main.yml. Oh, sorry, not this one. So let's close this one. See it changes. Yes. Okay. Let's go to task directory. Right. We have task here. Main.yml in task, and simply paste it. Okay, I need to remove all these white spaces. You must have got the exercise which will have the roles exercise, but use the exercise that I'm using now, and use some editor or anything, or start creating rows by yourself. Okay, and why by yourself? I'll tell you in a moment. Okay, tasks are ready. Let me save it. Now let's go back to the playbook. What do we have now? So let's remove this task. Boom, gone. Yeah, handlers, right? So handlers goes into the handlers directory. Control X. Go to handlers. Main.yml. Paste it. Okay, so okay, saved. Go to playbook. Okay, you have one more task, which is to stop IP tables. So we'll not write another play for that. We'll remove it from here, right? And we'll go back to our tasks. Yeah, these are our tasks. And then let's see. Stop IP table here. Okay, now you observe here in the task we have this list of tasks and nothing else. No global play declaration, no host name, nothing. Just the task. That's all. Okay. Now let's come back to our playbook. So let's remove any other thing that we have. Okay. You don't have any task here, right? So what do you have in your playbook, right? It's just the global play declaration that we have, right? What are you want to define at the global level for this play, right? And then you have to specify what roles you want to use. So let's say roles colon hyphen and the name of the role. So the name of the role is my web servers. Okay, save. But we are still not done yet. Okay, why? So if you go to our task, if you read our task, we have templates, right? And it's saying templates go into the templates directory and stdpd.j2. Now, whenever you are using templates into a role, so templates will automatically try to go and look for template into templates directory. Like every role is going to have a templates directory. If you see over here, okay. Now it will go on, if you use this module template, it will go and look for templates directory. Now inside that, it's going to look for another templates directory since you specified it, and inside that it will look for http.j2, okay, which is very bad. Okay, you don't need to specify templates here. You just simply remove this, save, and also over here, roles will automatically detect as you use the template module. Like if you use file module, it's going to go and look for files directory. Okay, so we remove that templates directory path over there, but we have to copy our templates also, right? So initially we created a templates directory and we had this, right, 2 templates. So let's simply move this templates to roles templates directory. And God. Right, looks better now. Okay, let's close this and quickly verify everything. Okay, close this. So that's our playbook, which is actually trying to call roles. So whenever you say roles, okay, it's gonna look for a directory called roles in the same place. So you should have that directory first of all, right? And you are saying from this roles directory, look for my web server roles. So you have my web server roles here, right? And inside that, so let's go to first tasks, right? So do we have tasks? Yes, we have all the tasks, right? Just a list of the tasks, right? In the task, we're talking about some variables, right? So templates. So templates are available. Variables, vast directory is available, right? Handler, we have specified into handlers directory. All looks good, right? So we are not using this files directory. Okay, we can choose to use, if you are using file module, then you know whatever file you want to copy, just put it into files directory. Okay, default, as I told you, again you can specify variables in defaults directory also. Okay, so once we run this role, we're going to check that, okay, how that works. Okay, cool, everything looks good. Let's come to our terminal. Now we tested accessibility to web 1 or web servers group, in fact. Now we are going to run our playbook. Our playbook contains just the role information, which role to call. It should be a new line here. Oops.
So Imran, are we going to overwrite whatever we did on the other day, or you are going to put everything in so that we will understand, you know?
The voice is breaking.
No, what I was asking is, are you going to replace everything that we have done manually the other day, creating the wireless
Yes,
file?
yes.
Okay. But it's better that you put it as a separate, right? So that we'll have both. How to create them manually, then exercise as doing roles.
Right.
Can you
So,
please put this as exercise 4 maybe?
Yeah, that's another exercise. It's in exercise 4 actually. This is actually already in exercise 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's run our playbook, Ansible playbook, and that's web.yaml. Okay, now you see the output is little different. So it says task from my web server's role actually. Okay, and okay, it's installing some package that we specified. Ensure libsc linux python installed. Right, we have not done that yesterday. Okay, it's just some tests that I did. Okay.
Well, whether all the tasks were defined now, or have you defined earlier itself? Means is the task?
This is from our previous exercise. This is our previous exercise. Exercise 3. So exercise 3 I am modifying and making exercise 4. So what last session we have created this playbook, right? Same I am converting into the rules. That we said, ensure Apache is installed and started service, push templates, use some variables, right?
Okay.
Alright, so that worked. You see the difference, you see the name of the role here now. Okay, in the task section, that it is executing task from this role and the task name is so and so. Okay, running handler from my web server's role, and this is the name of the handler that is executed. So it's smartly telling you actually what it is doing. Initially when we executed just normal exercise, so okay, let's rename it to exercise. Not now, let me go back. Okay, so you're going to use exercise 3, okay, copy it to some other place, okay, rename it to exercise 4 and then start doing this cut paste job. Okay, now if you are a Windows user, you might have a problem with the Notepad++. The reason because you are gonna install Ansible into a virtual machine. Okay, your Notepad cannot detect data from your virtual machine and show it, right? So what we can use we can use a synced directory feature. Okay, so you can put all your code into this directory itself over here, like I did. Okay, so and where you have vagrant file, same place you have vagrant file, you spin the Ansible server, webs instance and DB instance, everything from here, right? And this is a sync directory. So if I log into, let's say, vagrant SSH, I already have it on my host machine. Let me show it on the web machine. Okay, let's say I'm showing it on the web machine, but this you have to do it on the Ansible server. So let's say you have created Ansible server from your vagrant file. So let's say your vagrant file, like I have web and I have DB. So you can also have one control machine for Ansible server over here. Okay, spin it, install Ansible. Now at this place, put all your code because this is sync directory. So Vagrant SSH, let's see if I log in, cd Vagrant, right? This directory is a synced directory. So put all your Ansible core, XS3, XS4 in this directory, in Vagrant directory. So if you want to use Notepad++ to do copy paste, you can from your host machine itself, you can go to that directory, okay, find out that XS3, XS4 and open it, okay. And that's why we use Vagrant so much, because even if we spin virtual machine, we can access the code from the virtual machine from our editors, okay. The developers does that. Okay, you can choose to create other sync directories also. So what I'll do is I'll send you a Vagrant file which has a sync directory configuration already, okay, for your next exercise. So I'll send you a Vagrant file which has the control machine information also, and plus one directory that you should create which will be synced with that. Alright, so let's come back to the roles. So now this has become a very modular structure. So let's say you have already let's say you have 5 web server. Now there is a requirement, you need to add one more web server into your cluster or into your array, okay. So you say this is the IP, this is the username and password in your inventory file, right? You write a playbook, and in that playbook you're not going to write anything. You simply say, this is the host, this is, use become yes and roles, and say my web server, okay. But let's say this is fine when you are doing it for the same project. How is it shareable for other project? Okay, they may have some other information, right? They may also have, definitely they'll have web servers and DB servers and all those things. So you share your code, right? And you tell them, and they may have a doubt, right? Like I want to change the port number, I want to change the document root directory, okay? I want to change the location for the template and all those things, right? So they can simply open the web servers, my web servers role, and can tell them go to VAS directory, open the main.yaml and simply change the variable. Now you want to change from 80 to, let's say, 8090. Okay, first let's verify our website is working or not, at least after executing it. What's the IP? 10.15. Slash Ansible. Right. So our site is working. It's going on default port 80. Okay. Browser by default goes on port 80 even if you don't specify. If you want to specify, you can specify like port 80. Right. It goes to by default port 80. Let's say you have a requirement to change its port. Right. Like we discussed initially. Inside your playbook you can do, but if your playbook is so much messy, how you can do that? Right. So open your VARs, go 8090, save, right? In your playbook, and there is a change. Refresh, it's gone. 8090. Boom, it came. Okay, so you can also take all these variables and put into defaults directory, and let's say you want to share it and you want to have a default structure for your variable. You put into default directory and you tell them if anybody wants to specify so and so variable, just put it into VAS directory. Okay, so VAS directory will have the highest precedence, so VAS variable will be detected first before it goes to defaults directory, right? That's really nice, all the role structure and everything, but let me give you a very good news, okay, that there are so many roles available out there on Ansible Galaxy, freely available, which anytime you can download and start using it. Okay, you don't need to every time write everything from the scratch. Okay, so there is this website, Ansible Galaxy, which Ansible community is actually, it's very active, and we are we use these roles. Okay, so they say, there's so much of code freely available on the internet, right? But the thing is, how do you use it? If you don't know, it's available into the roles format. If you don't know roles, if you don't know how it works, okay, then how do you use it? Okay, so you understood now how to use roles. What are the directory structure of roles? What contains in what file? What variable contains in the vars file? Okay, likewise, task is in the task directory. Right? So let's say you have a requirement of having a DB server, automated DB server, MySQL database into your project. Either you can start by writing the playbook and creating it into roles and doing that, or instead of that, you can go to Ansible Galaxy website, look for a role, okay, that says MySQL. Now that's not the only one. Okay, if you search MySQL, we have lot many: MySQL, MySQL Server, MySQL Dump. Okay, and all these roles has been pushed by some of the other author. Okay, let's say this is some Axelitis, Vicentech, whatever. Right. So like that, there are so many roles. Okay, choose whatever you like to. Okay, and how do you choose? You select the role. Okay, you say it. You see that it's been downloaded by 76 times. Okay. So last status. So how do you download this? Ansible Galaxy, install, and you give the name of the role. But before giving the name of the role, you have to give the name of the user. Okay, Vicentech dot the name of the role. Okay. Now let's see some other roles. This role, MySQL. Okay, and this is gonna have platform as Ubuntu. Okay, version Xenial is actually 1604. Okay, you'll have the step to download it for all the roles is gonna be same. So this is downloaded just 17 times. Doesn't look too much popular role. Okay, let's go to the README section. Okay, does not have too much information. Okay, so this is kind of a user who just maybe started testing Ansible roles. Okay, not so popular. Okay, let's find some popular roles. This was downloaded 1129 times. Let's click on this. Let's go to README. So versions, there are multiple versions of operating system that it can run. It can run on enterprise Linux, it can run on Fedora, it can run on Ubuntu. Okay, go to README section. You say this role is used for what? This role helps to install MySQL Server across RHEL and Ubuntu variants. Okay, now what that so it means you can use this role on Red Hat family and Debian family both. That means definitely you must have used the condition when Ansible OS families so and so, use so and so, right? Same things. What is special about these roles, Ansible Galaxy? Well, I see there's only one specialty, that it's freely available. You don't need to write anything from the scratch. Apart from that, it is exactly same what we do, what we just did. Okay, gonna use some more modules. Okay, maybe using some more conditions, or you must be using defaults directory and maybe files directory also. Apart from that, it's gonna be not something which is very superficial. Trust me, I have learned a lot from Ansible Galaxy roles. What I used to do is, when I started learning Ansible, that time Ansible Galaxy was not so famous, but actually there were quite some nice roles which people used to write. So I used to go to Nginx, MySQL, NatGeos, these roles. I used to study these roles. But before that, I learned how to use roles, and I then studied these roles. How do they write? What modules they use, right? And most of the time I found they use most of the time same kind of modules. It's only about the way they use it. And I learned about different modules from the roles actually. Ansible Galaxy role. Okay, you can choose to do that. That's how I learned. It does not mean that you have to learn the same way. You can go through documentation. You do all the exercises that I have sent you. Go through the documentation of every module. Find some module, then go to roles. Okay, start seeing how go into the roles directory structure, see how they have written the roles. Okay, what modules they have used. See, from here on, Ansible is all about using modules. Okay, there's no more complexity left. We have covered all the complexity. It's all about now using the modules. What module you use, Okay, depending on your requirement, you look through the documentation, you find the module, you see the examples, and you start putting it into your playbook. Okay, I say again, you can learn a lot from these roles. Okay, now so example, so it says install MySQL server, set the root password, but don't create any database or user. If you want to do that, use like this. Okay, now we'll say hold on a second, what is this curly braces and this information? Okay, it's really very simple actually. So in our playbook, here we say roles my web server, and it simply calls the roles and use all the default or vars variables. Okay, now let's say if you want to override those variables, okay, either you can go into vas directory and change the variable like we did, right, or let's not edit the vas directory. What we can do is we can pass variable information from here itself. Let's say we don't want to use port 80. Let's take an example. Okay, what I can do is I can create a dictionary, a curly brace. Okay, you say role, so dictionary is like key value pair, so role, let's say my web servers, okay, comma, that's one element from the dictionary. The second element is another key value pair. If you want to give, you can give, otherwise you can simply use like this, only one element, but you want to override the variable, and we're going to say http underscore port colon, let's say 1990. Now this variable is going to have higher precedence upon this variable, so this variable will not be used. So variable used in the playbook has the highest precedence. After that comes the vas directory, and after that comes the defaults directory. Okay, so if you download and use this role, right, you'll see in the vas or defaults directory you must have specified these variables: root db pass, mysql db, mysql user. Okay, if you want to override those variables, we can use this. Okay, let's say it's asking, install MySQL server and create 2 databases and 2 users. Okay, so more key value pairs, more variables, just use it in this format. Okay, more key value pairs in the dictionary, right? So this, yeah,
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, suppose if it is mentioned like roles colon and hyphen role and some role name, then what it indicates?
It means like from the Ansible Galaxy you're talking about?
Yes.
So that means simply use the roles as it is. So they'll give you a readme section over here that if you use role as it is, what it's going to do. Okay, so let's say this role helps to install MySQL server. So in this case, if I simply give the name of the role, it's going to simply install MySQL server and not do anything else. Okay, with all the default settings that it provided into the roles. But if you want to override those default settings, you can provide extra. You can override those with giving the variable information in dictionary format. That's all. Okay, let's take one more example. Let's go to some other role. Let's say Nginx. Okay, let's go to readme section. The role installs and configures Nginx sorry, brain freeze. The role installs and configures Nginx web server. The user can specify any HTTP configuration parameter they wish to apply their site. Any number of sites can be added, blah 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 blah. Okay, scroll down. So if I simply use role and I say Nginx, that's all, instead of the providing the curly braces and all those variables, it's gonna install Nginx with all the default settings. Okay, if you want to override those default settings, I override with the variable information. Okay, and they'll simply tell you how to use this. There are examples.
Sorry, my question. Sorry to interrupt you. My question is like without suppose if it is mentioned like roles colon hyphen role without these curly braces and the role name.
Right. So that means simply calling the role. Same thing I said. Okay. This is what you're saying, right? You simply call the role and run the role with all the whatever is specified in the role defaults.
Yeah. Suppose if it is mentioned like hyphen role colon my web servers, then how?
Hyphen. Sorry, where?
In front of my web servers. In front of my web servers, if it is like hyphen role colon my web servers.
Hyphen role colon like this. It's the same thing actually. The way I specified, you can specify it like this also. This is like list of roles. So I wanted to give you one more example here. So if you want to run more roles, right? So this hyphen means for the element from the list, right? So let's say I want to run one more role. Okay, here's ling guy dot get. So if I use in this format, I can keep on adding multiple roles for this web server. Okay, so this is how we use it.
Okay, so we can mention either a hyphen or role colon my web server, or simply we can mention hyphen my web server, right?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
No problem. So, yes.
You know when to use the list variable and when to use the dictionary.
While calling the roles.
Yeah, and not only roles in general. You are somewhere roles you define as a dictionary, and after that, my web server you define as a list member, right?
Yeah. See, this is just calling the web servers, my web servers role. Okay.
Yeah.
Just the name. Now, if you want to specify variable information also, that time only use the curly brace and define it like this. You know, like role is web server, okay, and some other port like http underscore port. When you want to define, when you want to override the variables from the roles, only that time use this dictionary. Otherwise, it's not required. You can simply use it like this. My web servers. Understand?
Right.
Okay. Now, okay, let's install one role and apply some role. Okay, so the way we install a role is simply copy this Ansible Galaxy install, then enjoy Nginx. Let's go to our terminal. Okay, hold on. We need to give a sudo if you are a normal user to download a role, because it goes into /etc/Ansible directory. Downloading role Nginx owned by Ben Joy. Okay, let's go to /etc Ansible roles, and this is the place where it will download all the roles by default. So we have few roles, like we set up Apache, right? Instead of we can go and search for Apache role and run the role, okay, instead of writing everything from the scratch. Okay, I'll say Nginx, which you just downloaded. If you want to use this role, okay, so let's go to our pwd, I mean /etc Ansible roles directory. This is where it's going to download the role. Okay, now you can use this role name anywhere from this system. So let's go back to our playbook, was web. Okay, let's use the editor. Control Shift C. And if you want to use this role, you can use it like this. Okay. Now you'll say our own role we created into roles directory, right? But this role is at somewhere else, right? /etc Ansible roles. So if you specify a role name, first it will try to find into your local space, in your local repository, there is a roles directory or not. If it's not available there, it will go and look at this path. If it's not available here also, then you'll get an error. Okay, you can simply copy this role and put it into a roles directory also. Okay, but let's keep it there itself, and let's use this building.get, because I don't know, we installed Apache web server. If we install Nginx on top of that, we'll definitely get some error. Use this role.
Likewise, can we put those roles in our home directory as well, Imran?
Yes, home directory also you can put. You have to create a roles directory.
Instead of under roles, right? By default, it puts under roles. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, there are multiple precedents. Actually, I'm not talking too much about this precedence, and there are a lot of variable precedents also, because what I feel is better, I'm showing it to you, because if we discuss about all the precedents, you'll go crazy. For variables, there are so many precedents. For Ansible configuration, there are so many precedents. So I say now use this one in your local, the other, the global one in /et/Ansible. Okay, don't do too much. Don't. It doesn't look good to unnecessarily complicate things. Okay. Okay, let's run our playbook. Ansible -playbook. Let's see if I have. Okay, now we have two roles here. Okay, my web server is already done. Now the next role that is getting executed, kernelguy.git. Okay, what is this role? This role simply installs Git software on the nodes on the Linux machine. Okay, it could be Red Hat or Debian, anything. It can install it. Okay, I have used this role a lot to set up Git because Git is a very famous version control system which we are going to learn tomorrow, and why it is so famous. We'll see all those things. So to be very frank, I use roles, Ansible Galaxy roles so many times, and sometimes I actually tweak the data also inside that. Okay, but it's not suggested though. Let's go into that directory. Then .nginx. See, same directory structure. Okay, it's pushing a file. epl.repository. There are some handlers. There are some tasks. Right. Let's go to task. Let's open one task. Tasks main.yaml. See, as I told you, there's nothing super special about role. It's same thing what we did. Okay. Few things, right? Just the modules that they use. Okay, few other modules like file that we have not used. Okay, when they have used, right? So like that, you have list of tasks, you have list of handlers, you have files, templates. It's pushing like almost 4 templates. Okay. Right, so once you understand the roles, how to use it and how to create it, go ahead and start exploring some Ansible role. Okay. Yeah, that would be all. Do you have any question?
Imran, if there is some free time, just give me 5 minutes because I have the same issue that I'm experiencing from last week. That from the bridge network, I'm unable to get the IP addresses when I use the Windows command. If you are okay, I can share my screen to you and you can see.
On Windows machine?
Yeah, on Windows machine. I made everything like I can set. I set the path and I set the when I use the VM box manager on the command prompt, I can get all the results. But when I use the command on git bash, it is saying the command is not being recognized.
Okay.
And I went and seen in
the command is not recognized, you're saying?
No, VBox management is recognized, and when I use the command on the command prompt, I'm getting the results. But when I use on the git bash, it is saying that the command is not.
Which command?
VBox manager.exe list of.
That's
bridge.
fine. You can list your bridge interfaces through command prompt also, right? You just need the name.
Okay, it shows me when I use the IP config. It shows me just a home. Is it okay or something else that I need to put?
Okay, from command prompt, can you run vbox manage exe list bridge ifs and paste the output on the chat?
Okay, yes, give me a second.
So Imran, what is the easiest way, without spending too much time there? Because even I am getting into infinite loop kind of thing, especially when it comes to that vagrant private network versus public network.
Okay, create virtual machines
manually.
Create virtual machines manually and set up IP address manually. That's easiest. No.
Okay, but what should we choose in the vagrant file? I will do if config on my local host, right? Which is Ubuntu. Yeah,
Huh?
Ubuntu. Yeah, I'm talking about Ubuntu.
Yes, and
So then I
you
see,
should,
quite a few there.
right.
Which one should I be using actually?
The one where you're getting internet from, so you should get an IP address over there. Like if your router is providing the IP address in the range of 192.168 or something like that, so that should be your interface that should be used. Are you using Wi-Fi or directly?
Wi-Fi. No,
So
Wi-Fi.
you see something like WLO1 or WNO or something.
Yeah, WLP4S0. And
That you have
the
to.
IP address in that would be 192.168.
So that's your bridge interface.
Okay, so inside my background file, I should put as private network and put
No
this as
problem.
IP address.
No.
Sorry?
In the background file, have you got all the background files?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So in that there is a background file. Hold on, I'll tell you the name. Training. There is second directory 2_bridge networking.
1 second. In the background, let me go there. DevOps, background. Bridge network. Second. Okay.
Yeah. You see this entry over here?
Okay. Are you sharing it?
Con-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Config.vm.network is a public
Right.
network. Bridge, and you put the name of the bridge. Mine is WLO1. You said yours is W something. I don't.
Yeah. Yes, it's a WLPS4S0.
Right. So that
Okay.
one you have to use.
So put as public network and this one, that is the
Right.
easiest way, right? Then it
That's
should
the
work.
easiest. It will definitely work if your router is providing the IP address.
So would that be keep on changing every time I reboot my machine or do anything?
It happens. It changes.
Then would it pick up automatically whatever it gets?
So what I say is, don't destroy your machine. Just kind of do vagrant halt if you are planning to reuse it. So then IP address will not change. Shut it down.
Okay, but since we're trying to learn, we want to see, because I don't want to get into a situation where we're trying to figure out only this one. So whenever you destroy, then it would come up with a different IP. Is that
Different
what
IP, because your router is going to provide the IP addresses, right?
Right. Then this would it not pick up automatically whatever this one gives?
No.
Okay.
So see this. What does bridge mean? Is you have to understand first that is it.
Yeah.
Bridge means you're bridging it to your interface. Okay, that
Okay.
means your interface is going to ask IP address to your router.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or to your DSCP in the router. Okay, so every time it asks, if the DSCP will say, if the router says that it's a new interface, it's gonna give you new IP address. So that's why if you destroy it, you'll definitely get a new IP address. Or if your lease is expired from the DSCP server, you'll get a new IP address. But that's fine. Even if the IP address changes, there's nothing too much to worry about, because you
Right,
can.
because we are giving that WLPS4 as this thing, right? That text whatever is. We are not
Yes.
giving the actual IP address 192 dot and that, right?
You should get that from 192 that series only.
So it will be picked up automatically, right?
Yes,
Even if I
it will
destroy
pick up
it.
automatically. Have you tried this?
I mean, sometimes it comes, but sometimes I'm unable to understand. Maybe like you said, right? I'm not so clear how this virtual machines will get the IP address from my Ubuntu.
From
So
your router,
yeah.
not from the
So
router.
I play different ways, put in public, put in private, and there are too many possibilities that I get into some infinite and get fed up. So finally, so that's why I want to ask, what is the easiest way? I don't want to spend time there.
This is the easiest way. That's why I tell this, because I know this
Okay.
this happens. You
Yeah,
do
exactly,
private
yeah.
and you give this. How do you assign the IP address? So don't go into assigning IP address and all. Let your router decide what IP address your machine gets.
Okay.